Okay, so the shuttle launch was delayed again.
It was.
Now it's coming Tuesday, the day after the final table. So will astronaut Mike Dexter be joining us, or will you be driving up to see the shuttle launch?
I really can't discuss the specifics of his super secret shuttle launch, which may or may not be the shuttle launch happening on Tuesday, but I can say he came by for some snuggling, kissing, and viewing of reality television dance competitions with me last night.
Yeah, this guy's sounding less and less real to me.
I don't like your tone, sir.
Oh well, have astronaut Mike Dexter do something about it.
Astronaut Mike Dexter wouldn't do something like that to me. I don't want to talk about it anymore. On with the show.
All right.
So yesterday was pretty much about one thing and one thing only. The bubble.
The money bubble.
So that's why we're bringing you Bubblicious with Jess and BJ. We did play from 51 down to the final 18.
Yes.
Pretty speedy day, though there was one section that was a bit slow. The 2-hour money bubble for hand-for-hand play. Lost a couple people early, and then we had a lot of people with not a lot of chips that were...
all seemed to be kind of trying to wait each other out.
Yes. Several players with less than 10 big blinds, some with less than 5 big blinds, and a couple with less than 2 big blinds. One of which was part of what has to be the hand of the day.
Yeah. David Randall was the shortest of the short stacks, down to, I think, 10,000 under the gun.
10,000 and 4,000, 8,000 blinds.
And why don't you tell us what happened there?
David Randall moves all in from under the gun for 10,000. Carl Pipitone's beside him, and he's got about 75,000, and he calls. Folds around to Blair Hinkle, who has been very aggressive for the past few days. He makes it 40,000. Gets back to Carl, who is in quite a pickle. He thinks about it for probably a minute or so, and then eventually decides this is not the time. They had clarified that if two people went out on the same hand, even at the same table, it didn't matter chip counts, they would be splitting the prize.
They would split the money, right.
He folds and says, show me aces. Blair Hinkle shows him 3-4 offsuit. And Blair was a bit disappointed. You can watch our Rise Player of the Day video with him. He was not as live as he thought, as David Randall had ace-4 and managed to well over double up, and Blair Hinkle managed to piss off a fair amount of the 46 people still in the tournament.
2 different players read that as just the most unbelievable thing ever. They thought it was collusion, but it was just Blair Hinkle making a play for the chips, and hey, if the bubble keeps going, he can abuse the bubble.
Yeah, I think he was I think he said he was very purposefully trying to extend the money bubble because he was chipping up an enormous amount during this period of time, as were some other players like James Mackey and Tommy Vedes that are used to the money bubble, used to kind of preying on the people trying to make the money.
All right, so then we get to the actual bubble hand?
Yes, at that point, Vinny Pahuja had lost a big pot.
Right, Vinny Pahuja wasn't one of those very short stacks, but became one suddenly very quick. All the other short stacks got a little excited. He was all in pre-flop.
Yeah, I think he was trying to wait out David Randall, but I'm not sure.
Pahuja went all in pre-flop. 3 other players joined him.
He was less than 10,000, right?
Oh, yes, he was. He was,
okay.
I think, 6,000 maybe, 5,000.
All right, so yeah, less than a blind.
6-high flop. Tim Miles bet the other guys out with pocket 8s up against Pahuja's Jack 10. Jack 10 never improved. Pahuja out 46th. Everybody else makes the money, and then the bust out started coming.
Onslaught of.
As fast as I can remember seeing in a WPT event.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Speaking of Tim Miles, he went out in 31st place in a big hand with Blair Hinkle. Prior to this hand, they had another big pot that we didn't catch in the updates, but Blair kind of filled us in on, where it was 6-bet all-in pre by Blair. As soon as Tim Miles busted, he came over to Blair and is like, be honest, the 6-bet was a bluff, wasn't it? And Blair was just kind of like, yeah, it was. And Tim was like, I had nothing. And he's like, yeah, I knew you had nothing. And it was one of those
nothing versus nothing.
Re-level situations.
That's less.
The big pot, though, Blair flopped a set of 6s. Tim had a heart draw and bricked out. So Blair won, I think, the biggest pot of the day, if not the tournament so far. And that pushed him well over, up to like 1.8 million, I think, which is about where he ended the day, right?
Right. Blair ended in the 1.7 range, followed by day 3 chip leader, Taylor von Kriegenberg.
Who's a little bit of a ways back with 1.3 million.
Right. Bruce Snell in third. Abby Daniels in fourth. She was second yesterday. Has basically the same chip count now. Still good for fourth place.
And rounding out the top 5 is one of Blair's best friends, basically, James Mackey, who Blair said taught him how to play.
And former WPT winner Tommy Vedes, top 6.
Yeah, Tommy Vedes is the only winner still in the field. We didn't do our over-under.
We can do it now.
All right, why not?
All right, but first we got to settle up from yesterday, which was how deep would Mike Sexton finish? He entered the day, I believe he entered the day 27th.
And finished?
27th.
Yeah, it was very close to the 22nd. I mean, it was, I think, a little closer.
The line was
than you
22. Expected. Jess took the optimistic side. I took the side that won. I think I'm crushing you this stuff.
Yeah, you're up by 3. It's pretty sad.
All right, so moving on to today's line. Tommy Vedes is currently 6th in chips. What place will he finish? Bookie set the line to 8.5. Jess? Tommy Vedes doesn't play the Mike Sexton style.
No, Tommy Vedes is not the most conservative player necessarily. He's willing to get in these big pots. I think he's going to go for broke and could very well end up on the wrong side of this.
Go for broke and get there?
Or go for broke and miss, which is why I'm going to take the over on this. I feel like he's probably going to make the top 10. That's probably fair, but it's going to be right in there.
9 or 10. I am pro Tommy Vedes.
I'm not anti-Tommy Vedes.
I'm telling him you are. I think he's got final table in his sights. I think he can make it. So go Tommy. Prove Jess wrong.
All right. We've talked about Tommy, we talked about Mike Sexton, and we talked a lot about the bubble and how bubblicious it was, which brings us to our question of the day. What is your favorite kind of gum?
I'm not a big gum chewer, but when Major League Chew came out and it looked like, chewing tobacco. Big League Chew.
It's my favorite gum. So great, I can't even remember the name of it when I chew.
I said I'm not a gum guy. Okay,
clearly.
Big League Chew. Just because when you were a little kid and tobacco, although it came out before I ever moved to Georgia and I had little idea what tobacco was.
You just liked that it was a pouch so you could touch with your hands.
And I thought it was just, oh wow, this is what the big leaguers do. Then I moved to Georgia and found out what tobacco really was. Nasty crap, that tobacco. Okay, so on to gum. What's your favorite gum?
Any kind of gum that isn't smacked. I'm looking at you, Charles Wiper. Don't be the new John Raciner. Don't smack your gum, kids. In all seriousness, so when I was a kid, we didn't get gum all that often, and when we did, I liked to hoard it, so I loved the bubble tape, where you got 6 feet of consecutive gum, and I would totally plow through it in like a day.
So it wasn't even about the flavor, it was just about the, efficiency of it, or the...
Well, it was one of those, you could feed your gum compulsion. Because, you have the one piece of gum, it gets old, there's nothing you can do about it, you throw it away. With bubble tape, you had the piece, and then you could get more, and then you could get more, and then eventually you have a giant wad of gum in your mouth representing what was 6 feet of sugar.
You could do the same thing with Big League Chew. It came in little strips, and you just pick out how much you want. And that way you don't even have to cut it like the bubble tape.
Are you the new Big League Chew representative? I don't think they're going to like you very much. You can't even remember their product's name.